Thank you so much, President Peterson. Today was planned as a symposium for faculty with faculty. And I can't think of a better way to have kicked it off than President Peterson, your comments. So thank you again so very, very much. And in fact, his comments were appropriate because in planning today, I've described it as a mushroom because it kept changing. Every minute it changed as we went through. So the goal today is by the end of the day, you will leave with a lot of information about what's currently going on within the university system of Georgia and beyond, but also a vision of what can be and thinking about the challenges ahead and the opportunities ahead, but always with an eye on what matters most, and that's our students. So you'll find today's a very student-focused conversation, and indeed, there will be time for conversation. I want to take just a moment and talk about the agenda so you have a good sense of what's ahead. We're going to start the day with comments from Houston Davis, our Chief Academic Officer, who's going to create a cast of the lay of the land. And following Houston, you're going to hear from some of the leaders of this work going on. That really is, we're going to have an Ignite session, but I didn't think it was going to be that soon. An Ignite policy session with some of the leaders of the work. And there will be time during both the panel and the Ignite session for questions. And so we're going to be pretty frank about what some of the opportunities, some of the work going on, some of the challenges that faculty are facing in the work going on. And so please, as you're listening to them, build out your questions. There will be time for open dialogue. I want to say from the onset that we've deliberately not, we thought about putting out a Twitter feed, decided not to do that, so that, we want there to be dialogue throughout the day. At lunch, we'll be joined by Chancellor Huckabee. And then after lunch, we're going to have an opportunity for breakouts. You may remember that there was a survey that went out from Leslie Ann Fenton, excuse me, asking you your choices for the lunch breakouts. And you may or may not remember what you said to that survey, but we used the survey to determine the space for the lunch breakouts. So during that time, if you remember what you signed up for, go to those lunch breakouts. If you don't remember what you signed up for, choose one that sounds very interesting to you. But the caveat will be that the room space, we may have to do a little bit of double shuffling depending on the room space. So we'll just ask your patience if we need to move you a little bit depending on the room space. The good news is that we will be reporting back out after those groups, so you're going to hear everything that everybody did. So if you don't go to the room that you really think you want, you're going to hear what everybody else does anyway. So there's good news to that. At the end of the day, we're going to have a reflection feedback panel with some of our national thought leaders and Houston Davis reflecting back on what they heard during the course of the day and providing challenges back out to us. So we've got a really, I think, very exciting, thought-provoking agenda planned for all of us throughout the course of the day. As is true for other events that we've planned, such as the summit, the general sessions will be videotaped, and we want to thank our colleague Jim Wolfgang for that. We will be getting information back out to you via email about the links, so you'll be able to have YouTube links. So if you want to use any of this information back on campus, we'll be getting all of that back out to you. There is Wi-Fi available, and that information is in your packet. And at this time, I also want to do a shout out to our colleagues at C21U, who I mentioned earlier have been just really supportive, in particular Paul Baker and Kristen Schroeder at C21U. Paul and Kristen, if you would stand up. And my colleagues Robert Todd and Leslie Ann Fenton from the Office of Educational Access and Success. Robert and Leslie Ann, if you would stand up. And then we had an extraordinary planning committee that worked throughout putting this mushroom event together. Members of the planning team, if y'all would stand up, please. Raise your hand, do something. I know there are more here than that. And then we've got folks working, there were some in the back raising their hands. And then we've got people working throughout the day. So this has really been a team event. And I just want to publicly thank everybody that has worked tirelessly to put this together. Would you join me, please, in thanking all of them? Sometimes I get asked what it's like to work with Houston Davis on a daily basis. Now, there's a question for you. So a couple of Houston Davis tidbits. You all know that he came from Tennessee, that he was the chief academic officer in Oklahoma. You know all those kinds of things and all the pedigree things, so I'm not going to go into all of that. So what I will tell you today that you might not know is that, let's see, he's got a really good sense of humor. He's a lover of Elvis, and you do not want to get between Houston Davis and a good cookie. Not a good idea. The other thing that I will tell you about Houston Davis is that he is very passionate about and extremely knowledgeable about new models, technology, and MOOCs, the power of them and the importance of them, and the importance of all of us working together for the sake of student achievement in the state of Georgia. He knows that we must work together to figure out and work together to harness the power of this for the sake of our students. We've got to figure out how to better personalize learning, how to address access for our students, and how to provide better information for our students, their families, our communities, and indeed, each other. Please welcome our Chief Academic Officer, Houston Davis.